What happened while we were away brought to you by impeccable timing. Late last week, Axios tripped and fell over the audio recordings of special counsel Robert Hur's interview with Joe Biden over his alleged mishandling of classified government documents. Those recordings, of course, were never released by the Biden White House. You'll recall the result of that special counsel investigation was Hur deciding that any jury would find Biden as a, quote, sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying.
Those recordings were released late last week on the eve of the release of CNN's Joseph Goebbels' book about the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental decline, which, as you know, Goebbels himself participated in. That book releases this week, and it sure looked like there was a possibility of a bloodbath of what was left of Democrats in Washington and the media's credibility on multiple levels. And then on Sunday, wouldn't you know, the former president announced he has an aggressive form of prostate cancer. It's already spread to his bones. Here's Joe Biden in July of 2022 in a statement that was later characterized as one of his classic gaffes.
It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
None of you were born yesterday. You all know exactly what's going on here. For the scant minority of you who might still be confused, here's former Obama advisor and Democrat insider David Axelrod on CNN just moments after the announcement of Biden's diagnosis.
Do you believe that silences or delays a lot of conversations about his, last year and a half of his presidency for now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think those conversations are going to happen, but they should be more muted and set aside for now as he's struggling through this.
The Biden era in this country is one of the most artificial phenomenons in modern human history. Nothing about this man's rise to power came about naturally, from his necromancy in the 2020 Democrat primaries to his auto pen presidency to the cover-up of his obvious mental decline and now to the cover-up of his obvious inability to lead this nation. Nothing occurred naturally. It was all engineered, and to the extent that his debate performance last summer was natural, the aftermath of that debate was also engineered and artificial, with the Democratic Party eschewing a democratic process in order to kick Biden to the curb. Joseph Goebbels, your thoughts?
What do you think of conservatives now criticizing you and the media in general for how President Biden was covered during his administration?
I think some of the criticism is fair, to be honest, of me. Certainly, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. But knowing then what I know now, I look back at my coverage during the Biden years, and I did cover some of these issues.
Learning Chinese today. Today's phrase is sleazebags on parade.
卑鄙小人正在游行.
Moving on, the Supreme Court's latest cowardly act is kicking the case regarding President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport violent gang members back to a lower court. The court says the Fifth Circuit has to decide the case, but agrees that some heads up must be afforded these violent criminals before the U.S. can eject them from the country. And now here's this. 3 examples of the logical conclusion of secular humanism unfolded over the weekend. First, in Palm Springs, California, where a 25-year-old nutjob bombed an IVF clinic, killing himself and injuring others. Suspect Guy Edwards Bartkus is said to have left rambling messages about his anti-natalist views or pro-mortalist views, saying he basically believes all human life is immoral and he never consented to being born. Then, World Economic Forum resident philosopher Yuval Noah Harari had this post on X captioned, quote, "Nothing in nature has a purpose and nothing that exists is unnatural. Happy International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia." Here's the video Harari published on that post.
Darwin is the kind of prophet of sexual liberation. If I think about the liberation of gay people, of LGBTQ people, then if you dig underneath, you eventually find Darwin. For centuries upon centuries, gay people were persecuted and oppressed because of this mythological idea about sex, that sex was created by God for the purpose of procreation. And if you use sex for anything else, you're sinning against the purpose of the thing, so you must be punished. And then Darwin came, and Darwin said, in biology, there are no purposes. Nothing has any purpose in biology. In biology, there are only causes.
And then there's this from former Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton.
Blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that, what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do. You had read the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, despite Trump saying he knew nothing about it. If you had read it, it's all in there. It's all in there. Return to the family, the nuclear family, return to being a Christian nation, return to, producing a lot of children, which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But, one of the reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants, legally and undocumented, who had a, larger than normal, by American standards, families.
So there is the ethos of secular humanism. All life is immoral, and that's why we get to bomb fertility clinics. To the extent that any human life is moral, it's also purposeless, and that's why we get to trans the children. And if you use Christianity to stand up to us, we'll replace you with third worlders. Other than all of that, wonderful singing voice. And finally, coming at us straight to your liberal parents.
Mom, Dad, can I tell you something?
Yes, of course, sweetheart.
What's up? I'm dating someone.
What's his name?
Her name is Sarah. I'm straight.
Okay.
What did you just say?
No, let's
Carol,
just come.
What did you just say?
I'm straight.
He said he's straight, so let's just all breathe through this.
No son of mine!
Okay.
Will be straight.
Here's the thing, when you're young, you experiment.
This is a phase.
I love you no matter. Honey?
No, I'm not doing this.
Okay. What do you think of Celine Dion? Are you just done with her?
I don't know.
He doesn't know about Celine Dion anymore.
And that's what happened while we were away.